raising awareness is a key part of supporting newcomers and refugee students.
For local committees who are considering sponsoring a student or who already do sponsor a student, raising awareness is probably something you're already doing. But why is it important, and why should you do more of it?
Raising awareness is important because we all live in a global community where nowadays almost everything we do impacts someone else, even sometimes at the other side of the planet.
Being informed overall about world issues is always a benefit and always just a good thing. And I think as a campus it helps you grow if you're aware of these issues, and if you feel like maybe together
Be aware of that and understand that it's within our own powers to help other people.
It means that if you ever need support from people on your campus, whether you're trying to get more money in a referendum,
to fundraise, to gain support, if you want to pass any sort of referendum to increase your student levy, it's really important that students and faculty understand the issues so that they can then support you behind these goals, and it makes it a lot easier to work with admission services.
Raising awareness for me is more than just telling people about this awesome program on campus or this great club to be part of, but it's about reaching out to those first years who might not be as comfortable, and really helping them feel comfortable volunteering for something and really being passionate about something outside of their own little bubble.
all the students in your campus, they're already involved in the SRP because they're donating money through their student fees. And it just means that if they know what's going on and they know that they're already donating this money, then it's a really good way to make all these students feel connected to an international issue.
Well, clearly raising awareness about newcomer issues and the SRP benefits not only the sponsored student, but also the local committee and the greater community as a whole.
So what are the best ways to go about and raising awareness?
You want to be able to address the needs of all the different people and all the different types of people on campus. So there'll be some people who want to come to an event and maybe just watch, maybe they don't know very much about the issue, and so it's good to have
Speakers in, having different events like benefit concerts, doing classroom speaking,
or documentary nights. There's also people who already know a lot about the issues and maybe they want to come by and really talk one-on-one.
Talking to people one-on-one, I find that that's really a really receptive way. You don't necessarily get the biggest audience, but the audience that you have, at least you know, is captivated, answering, like, can ask questions that you can answer right away.
We can organize other talks to let people understand what's going on, but we're given an opportunity here to really break down those walls and do something different and creative.
You can do flash mobs, which are becoming really popular.
A beanbag toss / trivia game.
Do art, make murals, play music, get people's attention and enjoy it, because that's how people are going to be willing to actually listen to what you're going to say. They're going to want to know what's happening. They're going to want to know why you're doing what you're doing. So have a refugee campus.
And the idea of this event is that the members of the local committee will stay on campus 24 hours a day, they'll sleep on campus, and it's in order to experience in some capacity what it would be like to be confined to a refugee camp. And not only is it a lot of fun for the members of the committee, but it's also really effective because everyone on campus thinks it's really cool what's going on, and they'll stop by during the day and talk to the local committee members about refugee issues.
Basically what we did is we set it out to sort of compare a typical North American lunch versus sort of what you would necessarily eat on a day-to-day in a refugee camp. So we had pizza, which was the North American lunch, or you could get beans and rice. And we had this big game wheel that people could come and spin, and it decided on what you would then get for lunch. The only catch to it was basically that while the wheel spun, they had to stand there and talk to us.
Awareness raising doesn't have to be this big, extravagant event. It can just be you talking to some people about something that you really care about and feel passionately about.
It's called the Thank You Campaign, and this is where you just go around and you talk to people and you tell them thank you for the support that they're already giving to the SRP program. And since a lot of people don't know that they're already giving this support, it's a really good way to raise awareness and make them feel like they're already invested in the program. And you can do this by either handing out chocolates or maybe handing out a note that lets them know where their money has been going to. And it's really effective because it kind of turns normal awareness raising on its head. So instead of going out and asking them for something, you're thanking them for what they're already doing, and it makes them feel really good and more involved in the SRP program.
So now you've seen examples of ways in which to raise awareness, hopefully to get you thinking about ways in which you can do it yourself.
Let's check out some tips and tricks when we move forward on these ideas.
So it's really important that both the student body and the faculty are aware of the issues and have some feel some compassion towards the issues, so that they can then want to do something and want to help you achieve your goals.
It's important that you manage the workload and be realistic about how much work it's going to be. Make sure that everyone knows what they're expected to contribute, split up the tasks between members, and
understand what you already have. So what are the skills that the people in your group have? Who do they know? What other clubs are they a part of?
Collaborating with groups that might have similar mandates or similar things within their groups, that pieces you could pull out to work together.
There might be a really awesome event going on your campus already that you guys could raise awareness at.
And that way you can run one huge, really good event instead of trying to run, 3 small, less encompassing, less involved events.
one important tip is to make sure that people on campus know about your event before you have it. So you can do this by putting up posters on campus or sending out messages through listservs.
Really keep in mind who your audience is and who you're trying to reach. If you're trying to reach sort of a general student population, have something that's maybe not specifically oriented at something that's really sort of development based or really sort of like involved based, but is more of a broad event that can draw in a lot of people. If you're having like a speaking panel or something, think about who your speakers are, who you're going to be then inviting to that, who would be interested, who might be your support for that. I think the second really big one that sort of goes hand in hand with that is what is your goal of the event? It's really great to have these really big events, but, are you sort of trying to raise money more? Are you trying to do just awareness for SRP, WUSC in general? It's sort of good to have that lined out, because that'll let you really sort of tailor your event to that, and then you can do a better event looking at
how much effort you're putting in to how much impact you're getting out. So some great events that impact a lot of people and have high visibility are planned with very little time and very little resources, such as a Shine a Light flash mob.
During the concert, we had someone kind of come up and talk about WUSC and thank people for coming, which is always really important in events. And also, so like you already had them in this confined space, you had this stage with a microphone, you kind of might as well take advantage of that.
But you also don't want to just talk about all the negative things, because it's not as effective to make people just feel sad or guilty or powerless. You want to make them feel like they have a really honest understanding about what's going on, and you want to make them care about that and give them a positive way that they can get involved in order to change what's happening.
That is some really great advice to get you on your way to running your own really awesome awareness-raising events. But there's one really important thing you need to keep in mind.
Some students are more comfortable sharing their life and some are not. We should not demand them to open up for us to share their experience. The SRP is a place or a chance for these students to start a new life and realize their potential. We should not tokenize them as a former refugees.
Here are some ways to think about how to keep things informative, culturally sensitive, and respectful towards the individual experiences of the student.
I think that being culturally sensitive is really important, and that remembering that these are real people that you're talking about, and not sort of sensationalizing it so that you draw people in with this shock value technique. It's also really important to remember to be culturally sensitive about your sponsor student themselves, and to make sure that you're not just sort of tokenizing their events in their life, because this is like their life story, like this is them. And it's really, really great if they want to talk about it, because that can be one of the most powerful sort of ways to get people involved and get people into the issues, but you can't expect it. If they do want to talk about it, really talk to them, really make sure it's something that they want to do, they don't feel they have to do, make sure that they're in a safe space. Or if they want to talk about it in sort of like a forum thing, again, like just making sure that that's something they really want to do and want to help out with, and that they're not feeling pressured into it in any way.
It's also really important that you're aware of what happens to the stories once they are shared. So you want to make sure that the sponsored students know what's going to happen, what kind of context it's going to be in. Sometimes the stories can get out of their control, so they can be repeated afterwards, or if they end up in the media, like the newspaper, they can be twisted around. And this can make sponsored students feel very uncomfortable, or maybe like they've been objectified a little bit.
Raising awareness is a hugely beneficial activity. It helps expand support for the program and the refugee students. It also gives the local members meaningful ways to participate and to be active, and we can also recruit new members so that we can have a stronger support for the refugee program.
On top of that, it benefits the entire community, making people more informed and more engaged about the issue. They're better able to understand what they're supporting with their levy fee, which builds up support for the future. So,
let's do it!